For more than 32 years, every single week, I have written 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, and even 4 lessons from the Word of God. Every single week for 32 years, other than the weeks I was on holidays, and even then sometimes I get talked into preaching. So you would think after all those lessons, there wouldn't be a subject left that we haven't talked about somehow along the way. And yet, every once in a while I come up with an idea or come up against an idea that I think, why have I never used this before? Why have I never talked about this? Why have I never done a sermon about this? This week is one of those things. It's an incident from the life of Christ, and it's not that I've never talked about it, it's just that I've never really focused on it. I've never really thought about it like I've thought about it this past week. I've just never concentrated on it, I've never done a full sermon, but here's the strange thing. The New Testament preachers talked about this one incident all the time. It's in virtually every New Testament sermon. So something has happened in the church and in me and in the teachers I've listened to as I've grown up, where we've forgotten the importance of this one incident. But this one thing is so important. If we're ever going to figure out who we are and what we're supposed to be doing, we have to think about this one thing. And again, thinking deeply about it this week has been really good for me. So I'm going to share that with you on Sunday. The sermon is called Preventing Identity Theft. And we're going to talk about what you need to think about if you're ever going to know who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. That's Sunday morning at 11. At 10 o'clock, we are still in 1 Samuel. God's people have been asking for a king for a couple of chapters, and now in chapters 9 and 10, they get him. Samuel anoints Saul as the king, and these 2 chapters go together, and so we're going to keep them together, which means we're going to do quite a bit of reading. But it'll be helpful if you read them ahead of time so you know what's coming, and you can comment on what God has taught you from these chapters as well. Chapter 9 is sort of the setup chapter. It tells us where the events take place and who's involved and what's going on. And then chapter 10 is the actual place where we learn the lessons and we see the processes that are going on. God is doing something with Saul as he becomes king. God is doing something with his people as they receive the king. And there are things going on between the people and the king as well. All of those things are instructive because they're about relationships and they're about spiritual health. And we will look for those things on Sunday and we will share those things because while we're not trying to appoint kings and rule a land, those spiritual truths and those relationship truths are always going to be true. They'll be useful to us when we see them. So 1 Samuel chapters 9 and 10, that's what you need to go and read. The lesson is called Long Live the King. It's a beautiful day today, as I said. I rode my motorcycle here this morning and I was tempted to just keep riding right past the office. I've never done that before, but if I was ever to do it, today was the day. It was really, really tempting. It is beautiful outside. I hope you have a great weekend. Remember Russ and Christine's wedding this weekend and pray for them. Sarah and I are going out for that and we'll be back for Sunday. So I'm looking forward to sharing the lessons that I've prepared. I'm really excited about them. I think they'll be helpful. I think they'll be interesting. Something you could share with your friends if you wanted to bring them. It would be good for them too. I'm looking forward to seeing you Sunday.